What's a happening, nerds? This is John nerding out with cards with my next Ozzie Smith weekend installment, and I was remiss last weekend. I did not show this, but there's a guy. He's really cool. I met him through the Ozzie Smith Facebook group, and his name is Brian. And I know he watches my videos every once in a while, but he's from Colorado, and he's a big Ozzie Smith fan. And so it was not too long ago, he came into the St. Louis area for work. And I remember him putting up on the group, like, hey, what is there to do? Ozzie Smith related. And that actually brought out like a whole bunch of information, like, go see this, go see this, go see that. And then he put out there he wanted to meet up with a bunch of guys if possible. And I know he got to meet up with, I think, at least a few people, including myself, and you got to go to like a bunch of different card shops throughout the area. Picked up a bunch of Ozzie Smith cards, and unfortunately, the weekend that he was in, I was like, "Hey, let's go to this one card shop I just learned of," and that was Tom's shop. KC 1967, and I didn't think to check the Facebook beforehand, but we meet up there, and Tom's shop was closed, so it was like a major bust. And but we just we went down the road, went to have lunch, so that way he could check out St. Louis style pizza. But anyway, ever since then, he and I talked back and forth a good amount. And anytime he's picking up Ozzie Smith cards, he's showing me pictures of what he picked up and everything. And he's a lot more like Russ over at Collecting Nolan. He collects everything Ozzie, to present day. So that's really cool. And so like I said, he lives out in Colorado, and uh, when I got picked up that backflip Ozzie Smith bobblehead, the seller had two of them, and I was like, well, I know people who would want that bobblehead, and at that price, it's like, damn, right? So so I picked up both, and when I got to my car, I said, "Hey Brian, you want one?" you know, and so I sent it off to him, knowing that it's much harder for him in Colorado to pick up that kind of stuff, and with him being such a big Ozzie Smith fan, I knew it fit, and I kind of wanted to make up for that bust of a card shop trip, right? But anyway, why am I talking about Brian? There's two reasons, and one is he was kind enough to send me a card um, thanking me for the bobblehead and a picture of it on his shelf that he has it at. And it's funny because he had shown me his artist proof cards because he watched my artist proof video, and you know I told him, man, that's awesome, and made the comments like, dude, you have one that I'm missing too, and and he offered to send it to me, and I was like, no, 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 no. I got plenty of Ozzie Smith cards. There's no way I would want to take from somebody else's collection like that. And so when I saw that envelope in the mail, I was like, did that jackwagon send that card because of a bobblehead? And luckily, luckily he didn't. Um, so anyway, Brian, if you watch this, thank you for that card. And that's just an example. There's people we connect with that are not here on the YouTube and things like that. But the second reason why I'm bringing up Brian is because he has made the comment here and there because of the videos and stuff that I do. There's cards that he did not know about beforehand, and so showing these cards has, I don't know if like unintended consequence is the best word, but it's really cool when I show something and it's just like, and somebody didn't know about that, and now maybe it goes on their list of cards that they want to look for. And especially with these Ozzie Smith cards, a lot of them are really cheap cards. It's just knowing that they exist is the barrier to collecting them, right? Um, with that being said, Jason, everyday car collector, he did a post-war oversized cards video because he's always pumping the pre-war oversized stuff because it's a cost-effective way of getting into that era. And so, not that this is a VR, but I even commented on his video that it's like I think I know what the theme of my next Ozzie Smith weekend video is going to be. So I've talked long enough as it is. I got a stack of cards I pulled out of the binder, and so I'll just kind of go through them real quick. I'm not going to show all of my oversized Ozzie Smith cards, of course, especially like if there's ones where it's just like it went on for a number of years. I'll just show one, and talk about it. But anyway, I have talked about setting boundaries and stuff with my Ozzie Smith collection, but I do collect sticker cards, and that's where this one comes in. I believe this is 1989, but it's a sticker of a pennant. The actual pennant itself is hard to find. I remember my cousin had one when we were kids, and I haven't been able to find one, but it's blank back, yeah. But really cool, odd shaped, larger card of Ozzie Smith, and just the imagery and whatnot. I just think is so cool. So I stumbled upon that looking for the pennant, so that was pretty neat. One of the things, and especially like in later years, it can be kind of a pain to find the different year you're looking for. But you have these team issue cards, and the lineage of this goes back decades. I believe that there's ones from like the 50s and 60s for the Cardinals, and it goes all throughout early 90s, I believe. Anyway, within Ozzie Smith's career. But yeah, this is a blank back, but sometimes the image would be the same. It's just where it was cropped. So like you're looking at like the birds on the bat, like how much is showing, how much is not showing, things like that. The logo here on the bottom, does it have it? Does it not have it? This one happens to be the 1982, and I don't know. I probably overpaid for this because it was difficult to find. This in the 85 were difficult to find, and I know in the late 80s the image is the exact same. So it's like whatever. But these team issue cards were pretty cool. And like I said, 82 was the hardest to find for me of Ozzy. I think everybody is well familiar with Donruss in the 80s, and they had these large, oversized, um, like all star cards. And this happens to be from my year, 85. Really cool. It's got the dual image on there. Every once in a while you run into like regional cards, and I showed this in a pickup video a long time ago. But this vest promotional card, and that's just it. Like these oversized cards, and it's been stated so many times. It's there's so much to them. Like the how they were issued, where they were issued, type of issue, and things like that that just don't come in your standard major releases, and that makes these fun. You know, here's that Sports Illustrated test card. Uh, these can get to be kind of pricey for what they are, very flimsy cards. But here's the Ozzy. The actual poster is more expensive than what I want to pay for anyway, especially for a poster. And I don't have like the wall space for it, so that card is actually like perfect for me. But Tops for 2 years did the Tops Super, or no, 3 years I believe. Ozzy just did not have an 84 card, but I know there are 84 cards. Then they did them in 85 and then 86. So I'm pulling out the 86 to be the representative of these kind of cards. But yeah, they're huge. And I love this one. And this is why I picked it 1985 NL Championship Series MVP. And I don't believe that was on his regular issue 1986 card. I'd have to go back and look, but it is on the Super. And I do love that. But yeah, like size of my hand, like holy cow. But that's really cool. I've showed this before, of course. when I picked it up, but got to show it again. But the 1986 Schnucks milk. So I'm not going to belabor on that. This one, it's like some sort of like unlicensed picture. It is through the Players Association, but I guess not Major League Baseball. But this picture right here, and there's actually a couple. There's this one, and I forget the year this was. I didn't pay attention when I pulled it out of the binder, but there's another one, and it's larger. That the picture on Ozzy on that one, he looks pissed. But really cool. Like I said, just different cards to collect. For several years, there was a Smokey the Bear. Um, I gotta look up how these things are issued, but it's a bit harder to find. But anyway, this is from 1987, and like I said, this went on for a handful of years at least. But yeah, I remember being back in school. Smokey the Bear. Only you could prevent forest fires, right? But yeah, this. So I picked out this one to show you all to represent those, and then I did show a Donruss already, but at the same time, like this one's a little bit different, right? Because that was a Donruss All Star, and we know what do people like predominantly remember Donruss for, and that was the Dick Perez Diamond Kings, and for a number of years they did the standard size card of the Diamond King, and then the oversized 5x7 Diamond King card, and I know like Diamond King autographs are a real popular thing, and I've always kind of wondered why you see these standard cards being the target to get autographed, and not these oversized cards because man, the real estate for an autograph on here, holy cow! This is Ozzy's 1987 Diamond King card, really cool. This one I pulled out just because of the name of the set. Is Tops Big. So this is more in line with the 52 to 56 card size. And, these were coming out, and it was, 1988 is when this came out. And then, of course, we know the following year was when Tops reintroduced the Bowman brand. And 89 was that card size from, the 50s. But yeah, there's the Tops did this for a few years. I'm guessing it didn't really take off, but I picked this one because of that image of Ozzy on the base pass. So really cool. There's a postcard set that Ozzy has a postcard set, and it's the Berry Cola postcards. There's 8 of them that comes in this set. I picked this one because of the image instead of pulling out all 8. But there's several players that have a Barry Cola postcard set, like McGuire, Will Clark, and I can't remember the others, but it's not just Ozzy, so it might be worth looking up if you got a guy from the '80s, um, you know, maybe he has one too because the images on those are just sweet, and they're borderless. There's no branding; it's just the picture. I think that's really cool. A couple videos ago, Ozzie Smith videos ago, I had showed this pickup, and this is a larger size card. But one of the things I neglected to do was to show the other one, and you can see here it doesn't have that advertisement that's here. But because of the size of the card, I figured I would include it in this video, and then take the opportunity to show the difference between the two. But really cool stuff. These are oversized, but not terribly larger than your standard card. But you hear these commonly referred to as Kansas City Life or police cards. And that was just, I guess, who sponsored the cards. but they did this for a number of years, from the late '80s to the latest I've seen is 2007 for the Cardinals. But I love this one because it's the 100th anniversary, 92, and that's the year I can remember starting to collect. You got Ozzie right there on the base paths, which I think is an underrated aspect of what his game was. But yeah, figure I pull this one out to be the representative of those cards. This one's pretty cool, and it was a little bit more difficult to find and a little bit pricier than what I expected, but not terrible, right? We're talking about dollars, not 40-50 bucks or anything. But this new sport, and it's a foreign issue. I believe I've showed this on my channel before, but really cool stuff. I've shown one of these before, just not this specific one. These Catico discs, which was a game that I've never played. However, it spanned a number of years, and I know Ozzy has a handful of them. So this one happens to be 1993. It's the last one of Ozzy, anyway. I'm not sure when the game stopped, but again, it is larger, and it happens to be a more unique shape, of course, being a disc. And then this one was obviously just a couple of videos ago as well, but it's just the image is so awesome. Is the IUS 1993, large, super, however you want to describe it. Like I said, I'm not going to belabor on that one. It's 10,000 were made. And then this last one here is Fleer Extra Basis, 1994. And it's more of like in the shape of a bookmark. And the quality on this is really damn good. And I like the images of Ozzy on here. Really cool stuff. And then it was kind of funny going through my binder looking for oversized Ozzie Smith cards. Is the majority of them happen to be in the '80s. I was kind of surprised the stark difference as far as volume goes between the '80s and the '90s when it came to these size cards. And I wonder if maybe that's when like binder pages was becoming more and more of a thing, so therefore having a standard, like producing within a standard card size, was more important, or not. I don't know, these are all just thoughts that come into my head on why there were so many more in the '80s than versus the '90s. And I think that's unfortunate, like that difference, but at the same time it kind of makes the '80s a little bit more special in that regard because there's more of that uniqueness within that respect. And as the '90s come along, it's more of the inserts and uh, technology revolutions and stuff that come with that. So, but anyway, with Jason, doing his video, I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool to show just a bunch of oversized Ozzie Smith cards, because these aren't really like your seminal hallmark cards that stand out that everybody knows about. They get into regional stuff, stadium giveaway stuff, food issue stuff, and even like your flagship brands, branching out to those supers, 5x7s, and everything. But there's just so much out there, really cool stuff to look at. A lot of this stuff is super super cheap. Uh, Tons of fun for player collectors like myself, and for like the Don Mattingly collectors. I bet you there's a bunch of this same card, cards from the same sets that I had showed. The Kirby Puckets, Dave Winfield's, things like that, that your superstars of the time, Robin Yount's, Paul Molitor's, and what have you. So and then, like I say, going back to Brian, again, that's a great connection that's been made because of baseball cards. And it made me think of, like, if you happen to learn about new cards, new sets that you were unaware of just because of the ocean of cards that were produced at that time, that's really cool. So um, if that happens for you, that's really neat. And with that being said, I appreciate you nerding out with me.